Hey friends, how's it going? Today we are on chapter 18 of the Magic Misfits, the second story. Noodles has come to join us. So in our last chapter, the Misfits had gone to the Grand Oak Resort because they wanted to investigate the rear wing of the hotel, the back building of the hotel, which has been closed for years after a fire broke out in the building. And so they went there to investigate because they know that the Emerald Ring used to practice their magic there. The Emerald Ring being Mr. Dante Vernon's old club when he was a kid with his friends. So they wanted to learn more about the Emerald Ring. They wanted to learn more about Mr. Dante Vernon, about Sandra Santos, about this old building and the fire that was once there. So they went to go investigate. They found the old club room with the magician posters on the walls. They found the symbols from regular deck of cards. They found symbols from tarot cards just on the walls, on the floors, initials of people's names, and a little riddle that led them down into the basement where they were able to solve this riddle and find two boxes. One was a wood box and one was a metal box. The wood box they couldn't open, and they noticed that it's nearly identical to the one that Carter has that used to belong to his dad. It's the last thing that he has from his dad, and he hasn't been able to open that one either. So Carter hung on to that box, and then Layla opened up the metal box, and they found a map, which after looking at it carefully, they figured out that it wasn't any regular map. It was a map of the town of Mineral Wells, but it was a map of below ground in Mineral Wells, right? It was tunnels underneath the town of Mineral Wells. And the map showed that there was an entrance to the tunnel in the Grand Oak Resort, and there's an entrance to the tunnel in Mr. Vernon's magic shop. So they tried to enter the tunnel from the Grand Oak Resort. They found the door, but it was locked. And Layla noticed that the symbol above the lock was the same as the symbol that was on her key, her very, very special key that was left with her when she was left at the orphanage as a baby. So she got really excited and thought this was it. So she finally took out the key and told her friends about it for the first time. And she was nervous too because she thought her friends would be upset that she had kept it a secret all this time. But they weren't. They supported her. But then unfortunately, after this loving moment, she uses the key to open the door and it didn't open. The key didn't work. So they couldn't get in the door, and they decided to call it quits for the day. It was dinner time, Noodles. People needed to get home. So that was that. They headed out, and that's where we're at. But they headed out saying that they'll come back later to keep investigating. So let's see what happens next. Chapter 18. The sun was dipping behind the bigger hills in the west as Theo and Ridley accompanied Layla and Carter up to the resort before the show. Oh yeah, and the show is about to happen. If you remember, Layla's going to be doing the opening performance for Sandra Santos's performance at the Grand Oak Resort. The sun was dipping behind the bigger hills in the west as Theo and Ridley accompanied Layla and Carter up to the resort before the show. Layla tried not to focus on her dad's absence, especially because her friends and Papa would be present. To ease her anxiety, the group stopped at the resort's kitchen. The other Mr. Vernon gave her a warm hug and said, "You'll be amazing tonight." So if you recall, Mr. Dante Vernon said that he would not be able to make it to Layla's show, which understandably made her really sad because this show was really important to her. But he had something that he needed to do that was so important that he couldn't skip it for Layla's performance, but he didn't tell us what. The quartet found Izzy and Ollie waiting for them in the lobby. Then together, the Misfits walked to the theater. They took the talent entrance, went downstairs to the snaking hallways under the stage, and located one of the large communal rooms where grand orchestras and choruses would prepare for the bigger shows. It was a perfect spot for Layla to rehearse one last time. She took a deep breath and said, "Let's get down to business." As she finished tying together fake knots and pasting patches of fake skin onto her forearms to cover up her special lockpicks, Layla's mind raced back through everything they'd discovered about the emerald ring in the abandoned wing. The riddle written on the poster had been intriguing, the skeleton both terrifying and silly, the symbols on the stones mysterious, the boxes and code and tunnel map surprising, and the secret door and impossible lock a bit shocking. Put them all together, and they seemed to hint at a conspiracy that made Layla's gut ache. Sometimes it felt safer to not have all the answers. Yet she understood that if she took that stance, she'd be left with her butt pointed toward the sky, and anyone walking by could kick it. That wouldn't feel safe either. What did make her feel safe was running through an escape act one final time with her friends. A knock sounded at the door, and Sandra peeked in. She wore a brightly patterned floor-length caftan, her hair was tucked beneath her spangled purple turban, and her makeup made her look like a lioness. "Hello, everyone," she said. "Are we excited?" The others nodded while Layla mustered up as much enthusiasm as she could. "Hi there," she said, cringing when her voice came out sounding shrill and terrified. "Sorry for only checking in. Sorry for only now checking in," Sandra sighed. "It's been a hectic day, dealing with other people's wants. Is everybody ready?" "We're getting there," said Ridley. "How about you?" Theo asked Sandra. "All this theater stuff is old hat to a dame like me. I can read minds with my hands tied behind my back. In fact, I may just do that." Sandra seemed to notice Layla's dour mood. "What is it, Layla?" "Papa will be here, but Dad can't make it. He has extra work tonight at the store." Sandra's face slackened. "But he has to be here. It's your first real show." "I know," Layla said. "Well, I don't mean to make you feel worse," Sandra clicked her tongue. "Let me give him a call." She walked toward a black rotary phone sitting on a desk in one corner of the room. "Really?" Layla said. "You'd do that?" "Of course," Sandra said. She plucked the receiver from the cradle and dialed the store's number. The Misfits listened in on Sandra's half of the conversation. "Dante? Hello, dear. Yes. We're all together in the rehearsal room at the theater. Listen, Layla tells me..." "That's right. Oh, I'm surprised at you." "You simply must come up, Dante, and that's an absolute fact. Just for a little while for your daughter." "Nonsense. Everything can be rearranged." Sandra listened and continued to smile, but the light went out of her eyes and her voice changed, growing softer as if she was desperate to get through to him. "If you won't do it as a favor to an old friend, do it for Layla, Dante. Please?" Layla watched as Sandra's smile dropped. She tried to imagine what her dad could possibly have said to make Sandra look that way. Sandra turned toward the wall so none of the kids could see her face. Now she was whispering. "Dante, listen, I'm begging you. You have no idea how important..." Surprised, she held the receiver away from her ear and said, "Hello? Dante?" She pressed the phone switch several times. When she finally faced the Misfits, Sandra put on a forced display of acceptance. "We must have gotten disconnected. I'm sorry, Layla. He was adamant. I did try, though." "I appreciate it," Layla said. "There will always be next time." "That's the spirit," said Sandra, returning to her formerly spunky self. "Spirit? Ha ha! There should be plenty lurking about this evening. I'll tell them you say hello. Now I must be off to tend to last-minute matters." She gave a quick wave, then closed the door behind her. Interesting. What did you think of that phone call that Sandra had with Mr. Dante Vernon? because I'll tell you my thought. So at first it seemed like Sandra was just calling Dante Vernon, to help Layla, because she knows how important it is for Mr. Dante Vernon to be there to see her show. But I don't know, to me it got even more than just trying to help Layla. Like, Sandra was desperate to get Mr. Dante Vernon there, like, even to the point of whispering, like, I'm begging you, you have no idea how important this is. Like, why is Sandra so desperate to get Mr. Dante Vernon there? I understand why Layla wants him there, but why is Sandra so desperate to get him there? That seems a little suspicious to me. But it didn't matter at this point, right? Because Mr. Dante Vernon still said, no, he cannot be there, and even hung up on Sandra. So, I don't know. Let's keep going. We still have a little bit more chapter left. The stage manager knocked on the door and entered. You've got a big crowd out there tonight. 5 minutes till curtain, okay? You're shaking, Ridley noted to Layla. I'm nervous, Layla said. You've got this, Carter said. When you get on stage, imagine yourself back home at the magic shop, doing your escape act, for just your dads. For once, Carter's right, Ridley added. Think of Mr. Vernon holding up a timer as you beat your record for getting out of the straitjacket. That's how you'll make it through these jitters. Carter clasped Layla's arm. You're going to do great. We'll be right beside you. I know you will, Layla smiled, trying to shake off the bad feeling. She glanced at her reassuring friends. Thank you all. Her throat felt as if it were coated in sand, but she went on. I just wanted to say... Oh, please, not on the computer. I just wanted to say that I'm sorry for being so strange lately. There is no need to apologize to us, said Theo. You only have to be yourself. That's the thing, though. My usual self is happy, supportive, and optimistic. I want to be all those things all the time. But recently I've realized that I'm more than only those things. All the stuff boiling inside feels impossible to hide these days. I've tried to keep my past to myself, but it hurts to remember, and I don't want anyone to ever feel bad for me. That's why I never told you guys about my key, or about some of the memories that keep my mind whirring on certain nights. Layla struggled to catch her breath. I want to be the girl you've always known me to be, but sometimes it's hard. Ridley took her hand. We know exactly who you are, Layla, and we love you, and we love all your various parts, even the ones you think you've kept secret. Layla chuckled nervously, and then her 5 friends gathered close and gave her a big group hug. From down the hall, the stage manager called out to them, You kids coming or what? And that is the end of our chapter. Noodles, you are being very in the way today. Silly kitty. That is the end of our chapter. So, Layla's about to go on stage to do her performance, to open the show for Sandra Santos. And this is a really big deal, but, even though it's so important, Mr. Dante Vernon still isn't going to be there to see the show. Even after Sandra called him and begged him to come for suspicious reasons, he's still not coming. And we still don't know why. He says he has such important business that he can't reschedule, and he's unable to make it. So I don't know. We still have a lot of mysteries to solve. Sandra Santos has been suspicious to me this whole time. Still a little suspicious of her. We've got the mystery of the tunnels under mineral wells, the fire that happened in the building all those years ago, what's going on with Mr. Dante Vernon. And we still haven't figured out the mystery of Layla's key, her special key. We thought maybe we had figured it out when we found the door to the tunnels with the same symbol on it, but it didn't work. It didn't open the door, so I don't know. But we're going to have to just keep reading to find out. Oh, hello. This is Noodles. She has crawled underneath the blanket. Let's see. She likes to get underneath blankets. She's make herself little forts. See? Ta-da! It's my magic trick. All right, bye, Noodles. She's silly. All right. Anyway, we'll keep reading next time. Chapter 19. See how Layla's performance goes. How do you think she's going to do? I think she's going to do great. I hope she does great. All of her friends are there to support her. They're being so supportive, even as Layla's kind of admitting that she's not always happy and excited all the time. You know, she's had hard things happen in her life, as has everyone. And but you know what? Her friends are there to support her no matter what, and they're showing her that. And I think that's awesome. And so they're there to support her for her performance, and I'm excited to hear about it in the next chapter. All right. See you later, everybody. Noodles, say bye. Bye.